So the biggest mistake for me is that when I was credit worthy, I didn't go looking for money. Because when I left corporate America, I had money, I had good credit, but I decided that I was just going to bootstrap
Okay.
this. I didn't realize like it was going to take that much money.
Okay.
Girl, we used our savings, we
Mm,
used our 401k, like we
wow.
just kept investing into the company. So when I was ready, like, oh well, let me go get some money. I couldn't even easily get a loan because remember, you don't have a regular job, you don't have no money. So the best time if you're starting a business
Hmm.
to take a business loan, to look for funding, is right at the beginning.
Okay.
Get that money, keep it and not use it,
Gotcha.
rather than wait until you really need it,
And
because that is when it's
probably,
too late.
would you say, looking back, hindsight, again, we learn, live and we
Yeah,
learn, and we pass it on. Is
yeah.
is keep the job, get the money, then would
Now,
no?
I would say get the money. It's not keep the job.
Okay, that
Like
way
I
you have
truly,
that
for
to
me,
show as that you've got
for
something coming in. Or
yes,
mhm.
for me, there is no way I would have done this. I couldn't do both. I had a very high demanding job, and I was going to do something this intense. Like Yummy Spoonfuls literally changed how baby food is made in the United States today. If you look out, there are tons
Yeah.
of fresh, frozen, organic baby food, all the way to celebrities have a hand in the baby food space.
Awesome.
I started that thing. There was no way I could do my job. So I would say borrow the money when you're still credit worthy,
Okay.
because it's easy. It's easy, really easy. One, to get the money. And two, even when you lose the money, you're not losing your life, because that's other people's money. That money had insurance on it that you can gradually figure out how to pay. Unlike when you use all your savings, which a lot of small business owners, that's a mistake a lot of us made. I'm lucky that
Mhm.
at the end, Yummy Spoonfuls became something big, because we could have lost all of that. And it
Mhm.
was a lot for a family, for
Right.
anybody. It was a lot.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
are you, so production today, I guess, is more on a commercial side then? Obviously, you're not in the kitchen still.
No. And it has been, no, I'm not. That's a whole different chapter that we'll
Mhm.
keep for another day, because there is so much. Yummy Spoonfuls is one piece of me. But
Mm.
from 2016, from when we got into Target,
Okay.
it was all about looking for co-packers, which on its own was another uphill battle, because
I
even
I've heard.
co-packers, yeah, they didn't want to. They're like, oh, why would anybody want to make fresh food for babies? We don't have the capacity. Our kitchens are not even equipped, because they're used to a lot of baby food that you see in the stores.
Right.
Start from puree. When you look at the label, it will literally say puree this, puree this. And companies would call me like, oh, you're growing. Um, I'm calling you from this country, from this part of the world. We would make your purees. I'm like, why would I want to buy puree? So it's already cooked, puree put in tanks, and then shipped to the United States, and then reheated, and then repackaged as baby
Mhm.
food. I said, no, we want to make it from scratch.
Right.
So it took talking to almost 150 different manufacturing companies. And I kid you not a drop of exaggeration. Yes, we ended up buying the equipment almost $750,000 out. And I think that machine came from Holland. So
Okay.
we found somebody who is like, and it wasn't a baby food company. It wasn't a company. It wasn't a co-packer that was making food for babies.
Right.
It was a co-packer that was making fresh food for adults. It's like, okay, my kitchen is certified. We have the space. If you bring the machine, we'll do it. So we invested in the machine.
Mhm.
So that was that part.
Wow. Now, at any time, which, being a woman of faith, I'm going to guess no, but at any time, did you say, what am I doing? Or was it, what, have those days, you're down or whatever, and then soon you just come up, okay, you know what, we're gonna keep fighting and moving on.
Let me tell you, this is how purposeful God is. Because I remember even when I got the first call, we've done CNN 3 times, but the first CNN, I was really at a point where I had just prayed. I'm like, Lord, listen, I have tried, because I had gone through something that I told God, I'm like, if you bring me through this, because for the longest time, I used to, these workshops and all these things, when I would do it when I have time, when I would teach it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Lord, if you bring me through this gift that you've given me, I will use it more purposefully. It will not be when I have time. It will be when I'm needed. And that's how and why I committed so much with Yummy Spoonfuls. And I remember in 2009, it was just so much work.
Yeah.
Me saying, you know what? You yourself know I've tried. So I think I'm done. The next day, I got this email because months ago, Condé Nast Cooking Magazine, it was like a really shishi magazine at the time out in LA. They reached out to me that they are doing a test for all the baby food companies. I told my dad I should send samples. I told my husband that I'm not going to send no samples, that all these other big brands, they have the money. I said, this is just like a marketing
ploy or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband is like, what have you got to lose? We didn't have the right packaging. We didn't have anything fancy. All we had was good food, period.
Mm-hmm.
Send the sample. This is like 5 months later. That 2009 got that call that we have won as the best organic baby food in the United States of America. I went outside, took off my shoes, and I'm like, Lord, when I speak to you this today, I want to feel the vibration from my feet to my head. I didn't want anything. I didn't want to pray inside the house. I wanted to be connected to the earth. I just thought God would hear me. Well, and that's how I stood outside and just gave thanks. And that's been how every time that I'm about to just like, I've tried, he would send something. So it just got to a point, I said, you know what? Let me just keep going, because there is a reason that he's doing this. And I honestly believe that Yummy Spoonfuls was to get me to Bountiful Cooking. And Bountiful Cooking is to get me to something else.
Wonderful.
It's just he keeps their little path. And along the way, every time I see somebody would send me a text or inbox, DM me, send something on Facebook, which I swear I try, but it's just a lot. I can't keep up. It might be I'll see something that is like 7 months old, because I do, especially Facebook, I can't check Facebook message. It's just not my thing. But it's always, you've changed my life. You made me fed my babies better. My daughter is 16 today, and I breastfed my baby because of you. And this, or even clients from my life on process from my coaching brand when I help somebody who's been on medication for high blood pressure for 20 years and help them get off medication. There is just, my path is still unveiling every day. And I just leave it to God to keep opening the doors, sometimes windows.
Awesome. So let's get into it, this beautiful book. Let's talk about sort of when, how this started, this journey began to where now you are an author.
I know. This is how God works, though. Because I think when I started thinking about this, about Bountiful Cooking, is when my brand started really growing because I wasn't as accessible as I would like to teach the workshops, to answer questions and stuff. That's why if you look, I tell people, I say, if you get Bountiful Cooking, I don't want you to start cooking. I want you to read, like really read the book, because there is so much knowledge. All the things that I'm like, oh, when somebody's trying to figure out what are the good oils to cook,
Right.
what are the parts, why should I eat this type of way? Why should I? I want them to have a resource that they can go to. I didn't want to do another cookbook. There are lots of cookbooks out there. I don't want to teach people just how to follow recipes. I want to empower people to change their lives, to break some lifestyle circles. It doesn't matter to me whether you come from disease. You don't have to bring another disease into the world. You can stop it. And it starts with knowledge. That's this book for me.
Awesome. Awesome. So when did you start sort of after having the vision, how long did it take for you to bring it all together?
Oh my goodness. So first, a particular publisher had reached out to me. A lady reached out to me. It's like, oh my gosh, we love what you're doing. At this point now, social media is working. Like, would you like to do a baby food recipe book? And I'm like, oh. So I reached out to a friend of mine. She said, oh my gosh, this would be a wonderful project for you. But by the time I reached back out to that particular lady who contacted me, she'd left that job. So I didn't think about it. Down the road, a lady that was working for me, she was doing my social media. She's like, oh, you need to do a cookbook. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. She's like, I know a cookbook author. I'll reach out to her and connect the two of you so she can connect you to her agent. I'm like, sure. Reached out to this lady. She connected me to her agent. And the agent is like, oh, yeah, fantastic. I'm going to get this done. It's $3,000. She came. We had a meeting. I didn't know any differently. It might be whatever year this was. It might be 2018 or so. So for 2 years, I paid her upfront. There was nothing. Then there was this lady, every time I would share either a recipe or a healthy eating tip, she would inbox me. She's like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I'm like, sure. So one day, I just said, I know I'm trying. I've paid this lady $3,000 and she hasn't. And she immediately, like, what's your number? I need to call you. So she called me. She's like, what do you mean you've paid the agent $3,000? I'm like, oh, yeah. She's like, oh, first, agent will only make money when you have a book deal, because they will make the money from your book deal. You're not supposed to pay anybody anything. I'm like, what now? She's like, secondly, I am going to introduce you to my agent because I think you have 10 bucks. Just looking on your Instagram feed, you have 10 bucks. She connected me to her agent, Allison, in 2000, I think it was, I'll have to look. It might be like February or March of 2020. Within 3 months, I had 5 publishing houses fighting. They were bidding
Wow. Nice.
for who would publish my book. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, did you have the name at the time? No. Okay.
No. Because the name that I did for the proposal is completely different from this. When I started writing the book,
Mhm.
my publishing house, they're coming back and like, what should we call? Because now you have to finish the book and then find the name that's befitting. And we're going back and forth. We came with different names. And I had a little focus group, actually. I had a couple of them that will be bouncing things. A friend of mine who actually, I met her because the other thing that I used to do, that I still do, COVID, I stopped. I host free dinners at my house.
Okay.
Because when I first moved here, I didn't have family when I first came. And during the holidays, I would host, and it just kept growing. And so that lady, Viola, a guest I invited to my home, had brought her. That's how I knew her. And I just fell in love with her beautiful spirit. But she wrote to me after one of our sessions. She's like, "Oh, Auntie Agatha, when I think of your food, it's so bountiful. It's vibrant in
Mhm.
color, is this, but I don't know. Bountiful what? What can we pair? That's how bountiful."
Nice. Just organic. Just let it,
Yeah,
don't force it, just let it flow.
yeah,
Wow. Wow. And you've got some amazing recipes in here. Was it hard just to like, okay, what am I? And then the photography, you put a lot of work into this. I'm
yes.
excited about the chicken pot pie. I've had a couple of recipes, but I'm excited about this.
It is this book. If I didn't write this book, I would buy it because it's very thoughtful. And what I wanted, my goal is really to change how people think about healthy food.
Mhm.
Because every time you hear somebody talk about, it's almost like, is it healthy? Does it taste bad?
As
Healthy
a
food,
this whole perception that healthy food means there's no flavor, there's
yes,
no nothing in it, right?
yes, yes, which is so wrong, which is so wrong. I'm like, at least in my kitchen, it's so delicious because it starts with the ingredients. But I
Absolutely.
wanted a cookbook that you can go to your corner grocery store, you can go to your farmer's market, you can go to Walmart, you can go to everywhere, and you get the ingredients. And I feel so strongly about diet books. I think it's the evil that really gets everybody so confused and just going through this precious life with just so much misery. Oh, you can eat this, you can eat this, and people are following trends, and people are not taking the time to figure out what truly works for their body. This
Mhm.
cookbook has simple recipes. And of course, we have the difficult stuff, like the holiday stuff that you do. The
Mhm.
majority of the recipes are simple to really experience what food tastes like when it's not sweetened with sugar, when it's infused with fresh herbs, what fresh basil tastes like, what fresh thyme, what fresh
Mhm.
rosemary, when
Mhm.
put together, how it really elevates the taste, but not just the taste, the nutrients that it adds to the food. We truly are what we eat,
Yes.
honestly.
Wow. Wow. So this just came out in September. I'm
Yes,
sure it's going well. I mean, you've got all your fans that have followed you over the years.
yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
wow. So was everybody excited when it came out to say, finally, something
So,
for the baby, something for us, right?
listen, People at some point, people were harassing. When is the book coming? When is the book coming? When is the book? Every time I'll share a recipe. And that's the part that I'm grateful, because for as many free recipes as I share every time, people were still wanting, like, oh no, we want a cookbook. We want a cookbook. So I'm like, I would invest the time and did this. So from when I got the deal to when this book came to market was 2 full years.
Okay.
Because of course, I wrote the book,
Right.
put the recipes together, which that by itself is a challenge. I have way too many recipes. Like, what do you pick to put
Which
in the book?
now you've got another book inside you, so that's good
Lots
if you want
and
a
lots
part
and
2.
lots of books.
Yes.
Yes. Lots and lots of books. Yes. And then the photography, that
Yes.
by itself took, I think, 3 months, because Rain lives in Athens. She's an amazing food photographer, and she has a little studio that has the kitchen. So I'll leave home, go there, stay at an Airbnb, and we cook everything in this book.
Wow.
I made everything, even the picture where you have the refrigerator that's stuck with all this beautiful. We put all the food, that's my food, in the refrigerator that we took a photo of. So.
Wow. So when you got your copy, held it in your hands, and flipped through, what was that moment like?
Girl, listen, I actually did a video. There is a video on my Instagram page. This was a big deal. And girl, I cried. I give thanks. God truly is so faithful, really. God, we worship a faithful God. Sometimes it gets tricky because we get caught up, and sometimes, truthfully, in our pain, we forget. But I am a testimony of His grace that there truly is a God of miracle. There truly is a God who is faithful, is dependable, and His word is true. It might not come when we want it, at least
Amen.
it's never on my time, but He religiously shows up for me.
Wow.